everybody. What's going on? I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary, revolutionary astrologer, intuitive, and coach. And I thought it would be good for us to have a video dedicated to all things Venus. Why? Because she is now retrograding through the sign of Aries and back into the sign of Pisces, which happens every 18 months. The last time she was retrograding was in the sign of Leo. That was back in 2023. So August, September of 2023. And she makes this retrograde pattern that right now we've got from March 1st to April 12th. So 40 days and 40 nights. And so when we're working with Venus, I thought it would be helpful for this retrograde and for the purpose of this video to do it by signs. And so when you're looking at your natal chart, look at your sun, moon, and rising sign, and then see where Venus is transiting. In other words, where that sign of Aries and Pisces is in your natal chart is where Venus is going to be for the next 40 days and 40 nights. And so Venus is all about how we give and receive love, affection, what we're attracted to. Much of our self-worth is based on Venusian things because it's what we value. And you want to see what people value most, see where they spend their time, money, and energy. And that often informs and affects our self-worth. Are we deserving of this particular love? Are we deserving of this particular thing that we acquired in our life or that we want and desire in our life? And so these are some things that, as we're looking at a retrograde as well, Venus is going to be closest to the Earth. We're on the Earth, obviously, as human beings. And so we're going to feel the effects a little bit more internally, closer to home, if you will. And so we'll start off with Aries being Venus in your sign. And so this is that first house. And then it's going to retrograde. Venus will retrograde back into your 12th house. And with Venus retrograding in your sign, this is a time to really reassess. So we're doing all the REs, right? Reassess personal desires. How do you represent yourself in the world? What kind of ways do you really want to show up for yourself, for others? How do you want to approach new things? Your relationships, past relationships may surface here, and there may be some unresolved feelings, unresolved dynamics that need to get resolved, and you need to address them and not going to be able to avoid them. The one thing you do want to avoid, though, during this time is making impulsive financial decisions that can affect your spending habits. So pay attention to those kinds of things, Aries, as this could create a little bit of, especially with feelings being involved, if there's some unresolved issues with past relationships, whatnot. And then it's like, I don't want to deal with them, especially when Venus retrogrades back into Pisces. So you escape through spending something or through just ignoring it, and it becomes bigger than it should be. A lot of times we get very afraid. We anticipate a conversation that turns out to be really wonderful. So give yourself over to addressing whatever seems unresolved for you when it comes from the past. Taurus, this is going to affect your 12th and 11th houses. So your 12th house, this is a time where you're invited to go internal, do a lot of introspection, meditation, go within, just pull in and say, you know what, where do I need to go deeper in my healing? Where do I need to maybe pay more attention to some spiritual nature? You may have a spiritual experience return, or if you've been thinking about, where do I go on a spiritual retreat, or where do I connect with my subconscious? What kind of energy will that be? And you've been reflecting on that for a while. This could be a time where it really drops in. When it comes to relationships, there could be old friends or lovers that come back, giving you closure or renewing the bonds. So do pay attention to that. You know, ask yourself and evaluate, is this relationship going to bring out the best in me? Have I set healthy boundaries? That's another thing. You'll be revisiting some boundaries, and you may decide that, you know what, the boundary is that I'm not renewing this relationship. I'm just going to have to let it be what it is. Gemini, this affects your 11th house, which is all about your friendships, your social circles. And so you may be reassessing, do they truly support me? Are, you know, they say you're judged by the company you keep. Are these really the people and situations that you want to surround yourself with because others are judging, or maybe you're judging yourself? This could also be a time where you're reflecting on your career. Are the relationships, the professional relationships in your career sector, are they influencing in a positive way for the future, for where you want to go? And when it comes to the finances, be cautious about investing in, let's say, the latest and greatest idea, or definitely be careful or prudent about lending money to friends and family, because oftentimes it's not a loan, right? Very often it's a gift. And so if there's not realistic expectations set up, this could be a really difficult time to recoup those funds. So pay attention to that. But for the most part, Gemini, you're going to be looking a lot at the relationships that support you and that help to bring out the best in you and really align with your values. And if they don't, you may have to cut some out. Cancer, this is going to affect your 10th house. And so your 10th and 9th house. So you're going to be looking at reevaluating professional goals. Do they align with your personal values? And also, when it comes to the relationship piece, and this can affect your career, is addressing any tensions with superiors or authority figures, because that is going to affect how you make decisions on your professional goals. Do I stay with this company? Do I stay in this position or on this team? These are the kind of things that you're going to be looking at. And so I would also say financially, be cautious. And if you can, avoid any career related financial commitments. So if you're looking for that promotion and it's not being promised right now, don't go buy a new car because you can't afford it yet, right? So, or maybe you've gotten some conversation that, hey, I'm about to get a 10% raise. Well, don't go spending the money until you actually sign on the dotted line. Also, you don't know what that raise might entail as far as requirements and commitments. Are you going to have to sacrifice your work-life balance, travel, that sort of thing? So use caution. If you can, hold off on making any major commitments financially to anything during this time. Going back to relationships, though, really look at, do the relationships in my life have the same values as me? Are we in alignment? If not, you may be readdressing some of those issues, because you need to make sure that you and your beloveds are on the same page. All right, Leo, this is going to affect your 9th and 8th houses. And so in that 9th house, our belief system comes under review. And so you may be questioning some of your beliefs or philosophies and trying to gain new perspectives at this time, either about yourself, about your life path, about who you surround yourself with. We often remember our beliefs shape our behaviors. So if you're looking at, say, manifesting something and it's not quite lining up, or maybe you have a habit or a behavior that you're like, this doesn't work for me. I keep making the same mistakes. I've got to fix this pattern. Gaining new perspectives or other perspectives can really help with that. You may find yourself in possession of a new meditation that helps to kind of catapult you into a new realm. Look also at your relationships, and if the people that you are connected closely with, do they share a similar belief system? That doesn't mean they have to believe exactly the same thing, but do you share a common idea that you can rally around, that you can connect with on a deeper level? Because that will also help. I can see many of you having these deep philosophical conversations with somebody that you trust and you care about, and that creates greater intimacy. And so I think that's part of what you're going to be looking for, especially as Venus retrogrades back into Pisces. It's like, how does that belief system give me greater intimacy if I can talk about it with this individual? Because it's like you're peeling off layers, and you're getting to know each other on such a more intimate level. Virgo, this affects your 8th and your 7th house, but 8th house right now is Venus retrogrades through Aries. And so there's that deep connection evaluation. You're assessing the balance and depth of your most intimate relationships. Are they truly trustworthy? Can I really go deeper? Has it just been all surface stuff? Do I need something more? And I would say that this is also a time where emotional healing can take place. So using this time for introspection, addressing any past emotional wounding that you may have had from family, friends, business partners. Maybe you had a bad boss and you're feeling neglected, or you're feeling mistreated. This is a time to use it as a way of healing, and then addressing the issues that do show up. And maybe you can approach the conversations in a much different way, a softer, more open, but also setting really good boundaries and trying not to go into criticism, but do use that discriminatory mind that you have to be able to say, look, this is what I need in order to be in this relationship, in order to feel good in my work and the things that I have to do. And I would say that if there's any shared financial responsibilities, you share bills, you have a loan with somebody, car payment, whatever it might be, revisit that, make sure it still serves you. Did you get a good rate? Maybe it's time to refinance, or at least think about, gather the information. So you want some clarity financially at this time. Libra, this affects your seventh and sixth houses, but seventh house right now. And this is going to be where you are examining your partnerships and focusing on balance and mutual respect. Is it reciprocal? That wasn't the word. Is it reciprocal? That's the word I'm looking for. Is there that balance of give and take? And this may be a time where you're addressing unresolved issues with loved ones so that you can have harmony again. There's some playing of politics that may have to happen here. Be careful that you're not going into a joint adventure, financial adventure. At this time, it just, not everything is as it appears to be. I think you have some regrets if somebody says, hey, let's invest in this together, or let's buy this particular boat or car or whatever, together. You may find yourself regretting it later, sort of that buyer's remorse. So do pay attention to that. That also can put some extra strain on any relationships that have been a little out of balance for you. Scorpio, this affects your sixth and fifth houses. And so your routine, you're going to be reassessing that. You're reflecting on daily habits, how they impact your well-being. Are you in a good place, or is there a habit that maybe needs to shift? Maybe there's some real healing here on an emotional, mental level, and that you're going to prioritize yourself here with some self-care, getting some professional assistance, addressing any neglected health concerns. Maybe there's been something happening for you under the surface that you just said, I'm too busy, I can't deal with this right now, or I can't be bothered because it's a pain. Well, now the pain needs to be addressed, and if that's what it is. And also, you might be looking at professional relationships and looking for improvements on that end, on those day-to-day, who you're working with, how you're setting things up for the future. Do they serve in a way that creates good routines for everyone involved? Because that routine is something you can fall back on, you can depend upon, and allow yourself to maybe reevaluate some of those routines. Do they still serve? That's a good question to be asking during this Venus retrograde. Sagittarius, this is your fifth and fourth houses. And so your fifth house is all about creative reflection and revisiting maybe past creative projects, getting them going again. Maybe there's some projects that have been on the back burner that now need to be finalized and launched when Venus goes direct in a couple weeks. Your romantic reassessment, because we're dealing with fifth house, which is pleasure, casual love, that sort of thing, sex, maybe even children. Maybe this is a time where you're ready to birth something new, whether it's a literal human or it's an animal, or you want to birth a new relationship. If you're bonded and you have a good relationship there, you may look at, maybe life has been too serious for the two of you, and you're ready to find some more joy, more pleasure in the relationship. And as far as your financial aspect, do avoid any sort of investments that are too high risk. Watch out for gambling and risk taking that uses your bills, so to speak, or your money that you just don't have to spend. It's not a good time to take risks that just don't make sense right now. Let your logic lead on that one during this Venus retrograde. Capricorn, this affects your fourth and third house. And so your home and family get a lot of emphasis. So you may be looking at your domestic life and any tensions that are there in the house. Maybe there's a talk of moving in together if you're in a relationship, or you use this time to strengthen your relationship by strengthening your inner sense of security. You may be looking for security, greater security within your relationships. And so that may show up through different conversations. Maybe you've had some financial stresses and it makes more sense if you combine resources with someone. But it's because this is fourth house emphasis, do be careful about buying a home if you haven't already. Let's put it this way: if you haven't already been in the process of buying and selling a home, wait until Venus goes direct to do that if you can. Also, if you're starting a new relationship at this time, give yourself time and space to explore it. Don't get too attached. Keep it light, because a lot of other things will get revealed that could shake your security feeling within the relationship. Aquarius, this is going to affect your third and second house. And so you may find that you're looking at how things are being communicated. Maybe there's been some confusion with expectations, whether it's at home or work or yourself. And so you may be looking at how you express yourself. You want some clarity and some misunderstandings that may have happened. Maybe there's some past relationships that need another conversation to clear the air or to recreate or reignite some of that connection. You may also find that some little short travel can take place where you connect with somebody from your past that you've been wanting to see for a while and it just hasn't happened because excuse me, because you need an in-person conversation instead of just like text or over the phone or whatever. This is also a good time to consider revisiting past educational pursuits or skills. So if there's something you've been wanting to learn that you've been putting on the back burner, now's the time to explore that again, revisit that, maybe get that going again. And do be cautious with any contracts and agreements at this time. If you have to sign them, get, second set of eyes, third pair of eyes, whatever, comb them over, ask a lot of questions before signing on that dotted line. Pisces, this affects your second and first houses. So in your second house, you're really reflecting on what you truly value, how it aligns with your actions, and if it really makes you feel true to yourself. That's the biggest thing, because that affects your self-esteem and your self-worth. You may be looking at your financial habits and need to make adjustments at this time. And also working on building your confidence back. Maybe you've made some choices or life has thrown some curveballs that has shaken your trust in yourself. This is a great time to come back to recognizing your self-worth, the things that you've done really well. If you stumble, if you're like, I don't know where to begin, start with listing some accomplishments. What are some things that you do really well? We all have something that we do really well, and just focus on that one thing for a while and keep doing it. Create the habits, the healthy habits that support that particular strength in you. All right, you guys, I hope that this helps. And so just some various little, I'll say things, general advice, if you will. And that is, we want to avoid major changes during this time. If you can, try and postpone any significant alterations, especially anything permanent. Like a lot of times people say don't get a tattoo during a Venus retrograde, because you may wake up after Venus goes direct and say, oh shit, I wish I hadn't gotten that. We want to avoid, if we can, from making large purchases or investments, because we may regret that later. Buyer's remorse. It may not work out the way we wanted to. So use it as a time, though, to reassess any financial strategies and budgets that you have. And then as far as relationships go, it's time for introspection. It's a good time for that in relationships, and resolving any existing issues, healing old wounding so that you can show up even fuller in a current relationship or to attract a new relationship. I am not going to say that you shouldn't start a new relationship during a Venus retrograde. I will just say that if you do, take your time, keep your expectations low. That doesn't mean you compromise your boundaries, but keep your expectations low. Keep it light, keep it fun, keep it flirty, especially with Venus in Aries. And try not to go automatically into, oh my God, I'm going to move in and marry this person tomorrow. Okay. Give yourself over to, this is fun. We'll see where it goes. That's a good attitude to have. Now, if you're in a current relationship, use it as a time for resolving old issues. So revisiting some of those conversations, some of those issues that say, hey, are we on the same page? Do we still want the same thing? And if we do, what's the plan? Maybe it's a good time that we talk about planning together. All right, you guys, I do hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Come find me at 12listen and jamiedawn.com. And I look forward to being of service to you. Take care.